Hello friends, we'll be discussing an illustration which will be a simple illustration related to issue of debentures with different criterias related to that. Now, by far we have understood oversubscription, undersubscription, pro rata. So all these things will be mixed up in this illustration and it will be given to you as certain elements of this specific issue of debentures that we're discussing about. So let's start with this illustration then. Now, in this illustration, there will be certain case studies given to you. We just have to pass entries related to that specific case itself. No preparation of balance sheet and nothing else has to be done except in case of certain case studies that, or rather, if we mention in this question. So let's start with them. So the first case study refers to X Limited, who has issued 5,010% debentures of rupees 100 at 120. One shareholder who had 200 debentures here failed to pay the final call money, which was for rupees 30. We have to pass the journal entries and figure out the balance of share premium as well as the balance of application and allotment here. That is what we have to figure out. Let's go on to the next case study now. Now, the second case refers to XYZ Corporation Limited, who purchased an asset for 5 lakh rupees, for which 2,50,000 was already paid in cash. Now, the balance was paid out of a specification related to 120 debentures rupees, or rather, per debenture cost was 120. That means every debenture was of 120, the face value of that being 100. We need to figure out how many such debentures were issued here. We also have to pass the journal entries in this. Now let's go on to the next case study. Now, the last case study refers to A Limited, who issued 6,007% debentures of rupees 100 each at rupees 90. Application 30, allotment 30 and final call 30 was the value that has been mentioned. Now, all these shares were duly subscribed and paid for. We have to pass the relevant journal entries here. Now that we have all three case studies, let's go ahead and prepare the case 1 details first. Now, in case 1, we're required to pass the journal entries here. So we'll first pass the final call due entry. Let's start with that. The entry will be 5,000 multiplied by 30 is the amount. Debenture final call to debenture account will be the entry here. Let's mention the entry and the amount value. So total amount of expectation here is 1,50,000. Let's mention the total narration here, or rather the narration related to this entry. Now, when it comes to receipt of final call, there is certain call scenario, so we'll mention that entry now. Now, the expected amount is 1,50,000, but 200 set debentures of rupees 30 each weren't paid. So that is call scenarios. So in total, we have received 1,44,000. This has been mentioned. So let's mention the narration as well. Now, the next requirement was to figure out the balance of security premium account and then to figure out the balance of application and allotment. So it is very simple calculation that we'll be doing here. Let's start with that. So for security premium, it is 5,000 shares multiplied by 20 because that is the additional amount. So we'll take that into consideration. So total rupees is 1 lakh that we have figured out. That means this is the amount that we have received. Now, the next thing is to figure out the application amount and the allotment amount. Rather, application balance and allotment balance. So let's mention that as well. Now, before we could go ahead to that, let's do certain calculation which will give us how much is the application and the allotment total money value that we have to take into consideration. So let's figure out that part. So total value here is 120 rupees. ₹30 refers to final call. Now, balance that is left has a total of 120 minus 30, that is 110. Now, out of this 110, we have a total of 20 rupees going out for security premium. So the balance that is left is 90 rupees. That means total of application and allotment balance will be 5,000 multiplied by 90 here. So here we complete the case 1 whereby we have figured out all the requirements of that specific case. Let's go on to case 2 now. Now when it comes to case 2 journal entries, we have purchased certain assets. So let's mention that entry first. So the entry will be asset account debit to bank account to debentures account. We'll mention the entry here and the amount as well. 5 lakh is the cost of the asset. Out of which 2,50,000 goes towards the cash payment that has been made. So the balance will be the amount of debentures that we have shed out. Now, we have to figure in this specific illustration what are the number of debentures that we have issued here. That means we'll take that an issue price. Now, the balance of debentures is 2,50,000 that we have paid up. Now, the issue price here was mentioned as 120. If you directly go ahead and divide it by 120, that will be incorrect. So basically, let me give you a clarification as to how it has to be done. Direct price or rather the issue price is 120. That means in total, as this is an asset that is being purchased and you are making up the payment here with an issue price of 120, the face value being 100 here. If we divide it by 2000, or rather if we have to say 2,50,000 is the amount, if we divide it by 100 rupees, that will give you the total number of debentures issued. But that will also give you a wrong judgment as to that 2,500 debentures are issued at an issue price of 120. Here, as this is an asset you have been purchasing and you're making the payments, hence you have to divide the whole amount by the issue price exactly to figure out how many debentures have been issued. So approximately it will be 2083.33, which you can take it as 2084. Ideally, if this was just an issue to a debenture holder, the first calculation would have been correct. But as this is making a payment towards asset, hence the second calculation is correct here. So keep this difference in mind so you understand what is it payment going to, or rather in which regards the payment is going for. Now here we complete the case 2. Let's move on to case 3 now. Now the case 3 entries are very simple. Application, allotment, final money has been given. We just have to pass the due entry and receipt entry for all 3 stages. So let's start with that. So the first entry that we've passed here is bank to debenture application 1,80,000. We'll move this amount to debenture account itself. Now that application has been cleared off, the next will be allotment due. But while mentioning allotment due, you also have to mention the discount on debentures, because 100 is the face value, issue price is 90 rupees, 10 rupees discount. So the total debenture allotment money will be 40 rupees, out of which 30,000 is the allotment that we will be receiving and 10 rupees will be the discount here. So let's pass that entry. Relevant entries have been made, amount has been also mentioned. So let's put that amount in the outer column there. So total amount is 1,80,000 allotment, 60,000 is discount, and 2,40,000 is the total allotment money. But when we are receiving, we'll only receive 1,80,000. Now, the last entry, or rather the second last entry, will be final call due and final call received. Now that we have started or completed with these journal entries, here we complete the whole illustration whereby case 3 has been also mentioned. That means final call due entry has been mentioned for 1,80,000 and receipt entry also has been mentioned. So this sum was just to give you a refresher of all the journal entries that we have done with all the basic necessities. So I hope this video has given you a clarity about how to go ahead with different case studies, how to figure out the numbers, or rather debentures issued, etc., etc. So thank you for watching this video. Stay tuned with Ekeeda and keep subscribing to Ekeeda.